Hello, one and all. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Andrew.
artsmith and wordsmith of the Mithral Canvas, where we create homebrew items, monsters, and more for you to use in your D&D 5th edition campaigns.
As some of you may already know, we love participating in Swordtember, where artists and designers come up with swords for the entire month of September based on a list of prompts. It's also what got us into making homebrew for D&D to begin with, so it has a special place in our hearts.
And today's its 5-year anniversary. To celebrate this milestone, we invited a few friends to join us in designing a sword for the first prompt of the month, Wings. Everybody took the prompt in their own unique way, and we're very excited to show you all of their amazing pieces.
If you want to see more from everyone here, you can find links to their work in the description below.
And if you'd like to see us collaborate with other homebrew creators and artists, make sure to let us know in the comments.
I'd say if everyone's good to go, we could get going and start rolling the show. What everyone's got prepared for this month.
Yep.
It's time
Yeah,
to
sounds
start.
good.
And would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
So I'm Andrew Macaruso. I'm the artist for the Mithral Canvas.
And I'm Andrew Kim. I'm the writer for the Mithral Canvas.
And then Faith.
Hi, I'm Faith. I am an artist working mostly in animation and illustration, and I'm the founder of Swordtember.
Hi, I'm Ari. I write and draw for Aripockily. It's a one-person operation.
Hi, I'm Luca, and I'm the writer and artist for the Fantastic Emporium. One-man job too.
Hello, I'm Sinlaire. I'm the artist writer of the Grand Library or the Archive.
Hi, I'm
No,
Maeve.
okay.
Nice to meet you.
I love your work.
Hello, I love your work too.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Finally have everybody together. So yeah, when we heard that the prompt was Wings, Kim's, I think the first thing that came out of his mouth was biblically accurate angel. It's like, yep, any excuse to do most fucked up religious shit that we can create.
Yeah.
So yeah, biblically accurate angel. Obviously, we've got some references. This boy right here,
Yeah.
the seraph,
That's it.
like a whole lot
Where
of
the
wings
wheels-
and a whole lot of eyes. And we thought of this idea of a sword that would normally be sort of folded into the wings as though like the wings were the sheath, and then would
Oh.
unfurl to reveal the eyes on the inside, very much channeling the be not afraid sort of flavor. But yeah, I think my main idea for the shape of the sword was definitely based on this from Fire Emblem with the little center area. It was like, oh, you could put an eye there real easily.
Yeah. We always try to find place to put an eye in most of our artwork, I find.
Like-
It's always nice.
There's always something.
Like a Where's Waldo for every item.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing some research on how to make wings in 3D, but I did find a nice sort of rig process somebody made of feather orientation for those.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, you're
Angel wings.
Yeah.
Sounds like hell.
Oh yeah,
Was-
you're making 3D.
Is that like the rig guide for that too?
Yeah, that's I didn't actually rig my wings.
I was
but
about
that-
to say.
No. Occasionally I'll do like a very, very like simple rig for like creatures, just so that I can pose them more easily. But no, I was not going to rig some feathers and stuff like that.
Model every feather.
I did model one feather and repeat it a bunch, so technically they are all modeled, but it's mostly a copy paste job. However, the wings were the most annoying part. Not because making them was too hard. Like once I had the feathers, I had the wing pretty early on. I just made it way too detailed for my computer to handle.
Oh,
So
no.
that was what I was struggling with for that whole time, just getting it to go.
How involved are both Andrews during the modeling process? Do you sort of chime in, or do you video call and call in and see how it's going?
Oh, we actually live together, so
Yeah,
I just go down there.
Oh.
we're roommates,
Oh.
so very easy to.
Immediately there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Roommates.
Yep, roommates. We were roommates in college, and we're still roommates now. But
So do you pop in every, I don't know, 30 minutes or so and give notes, or do you sort of wait until things are mostly done to really take a look at it?
it's a little bit of both. And also Andrew chimes in on the design aspect of our items as well. Like, we have our shared Google Docs going, so he can edit things as he likes, and we'll talk about things. For the design of things, sometime like we've had times where we sit down and we just sketch something out at the beginning, so we have like a joint concept. But sometimes I'll pop in downstairs and I'll say, "Oh, I think this could be like this," or he could be like that. We'll discuss what parts need changing and what doesn't.
Yeah, we simplify it by saying I'm the artist and he's the writer, but we kind of go. Back
Yeah,
and
the
forth.
concept
Yeah.
is common. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because the roles are distinct, but like we both went to art school, so we both kind of have that eye, and we both like D&D, so we can kind of like chime in on the mechanism side of it as well.
Yep. We've got essentially a sculpt of the wings that is then extruded along a curve. So I was going to sort of make them wrap around the sword.
Blade. Yeah.
As a
I can see why your computer didn't like this.
yes.
Totally.
But here's a little idea of the midway process of me.
Wow.
Out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that
Oh.
eye looks amazing.
Yeah, and there's something a bit Bayonetta too. I never played, but I know the visuals. And
I also have never played, but it was also it was on the mood board.
Yeah.
So this is what I get when I finally get Blender to render the obscenely detailed wings that I made.
Yeah, I love the asymmetry of how you laid them out.
yeah,
Mm.
it's very good.
It was fun trying to figure out where I wanted the curves to go in relation to like the composition, trying to get them to really lead into the eye and also to the point of the blade, and put a little bit more detail into the feathers and everything in the actual final drawing, which
You
is-
paint over, like you said.
yes, brought it into Photoshop.
I love that in this angle, the eye, this central eye is like watching us, like the sword is directly looking at us, and it's both ominous, but it's angel, so you're like, I don't know how to react to that. The be not afraid thing you were saying about it, yeah, it works really
Yeah,
well.
the unsettling gaze. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really like whenever we put an eye thing. I'm always like, just turn that towards the camera, just to make it a little bit more more creepy. In this case, it has that sort of problem of frightening people. Of like, I'm helpful, but also terrifying looking. But yeah, once I got this render, I brought it into Photoshop, and this is it all painted up, nice and done.
Ooh,
Wow, that's
very
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Get a lot
It's
more
so
of that.
it's so cool to see the process.
Yes.
Any post-processing, like overpainting after the render?
Yeah, so to begin, I render out the like color version of it, like the full lighting and everything like that. But I also do an ambient occlusion render, so getting all the little nooks and crannies. It's getting like those shadows in the wings in more than the original rendering had.
Oh yeah.
And then I also have been doing a pointiness pass, which is just like makes all the raised bits a little whiter and the recessed bits a little darker. And if I can overlay that on the thing to like really make all of the lines pop, which has been a more recent thing that I've been doing that is really saves time in like detailing. Because usually I'll go in and like really make sure all the lines are clear, because rendering can be a little iffy in that regard. But since doing that, I have had to do that so much less. I know no one's really doing 3D, but that's my my advice with it is do a pointiness pass. But yeah,
And obviously it's legendary. I mean,
yes,
with this look,
must
it could.
be.
Yeah, that must be. Like it cannot be like very rare. No, there's no two weapons like that. It's obvious.
Do you want to post the rules?
Oh yeah.
Let's show.
Yes, finally is a crunch.
So we wanted to really make the reveal part of the rules, like the unfurling of it. But yeah, having it be enclosed in its dormant state, it just becomes like a bludgeoning weapon. So you're just hitting them with a sheathed sword in feathers. Deals a little extra radiant damage, but you know.
Get bludgeoned by my divine chicken. That was
a
the
drumstick
picture. Yeah, I had this picture in my head of the guy with the furled wing and bonk. Yeah, anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, but then you can unfurl it, and then there's like the wings will enter the state of the art that you're looking at. You see all the eyes, you see all the wings, and then it's got kind of like it's got the literal "be not afraid" effect. Everyone in the area has to make a saving throw, otherwise they're frightened of you. And if they fail by 5 or more, then they also start going a little bit crazy, which is very biblical.
I have to include the madness tables wherever I
Oh,
can.
that's rare.
But yeah, after you use the ability, the sword overall also just gets a general buff. Instead of +1 to attack and damage rolls, it gets a +3. Deals 2d8 instead of 1d8 radiant damage. It emits this really bright, holy light around it, so fiends and undead have disadvantage on saving throws while they're near you. You can also fly because wings. It's kind of like the sword.
Yeah.
It's the flavor of you like thrust your sword forward and you can fly with it while you're going, equal to your walking speed. And Andrew had the good idea to have the ability only be used once per long rest, unless you expend a use of your channel divinity feature. So it was already very like paladin and cleric coded. I didn't really want to go too hard into the paladin direction, but I thought it'd be nice if the wings unfurling also gave you like a general boost to your person. So whenever you make saving throws that aren't charisma based, you can also add your charisma modifier to them. So no matter what you're doing, you're pretty solid. It's like you have this like holy blessing. And obviously doing that makes it even better for paladins specifically and warlocks.
Yeah, and we know they go hand in hand a lot. I was when you said about the "be not afraid" part. I for a minute I thought, oh, does it affect everyone? Then I saw hostile, but for a second I was thinking, oh, if it affects even the person that wielding the sword, like they have to be worthy, because and I was thinking, oh, that's very cool for paladin because at this level they can't be afraid,
Right.
so they're kind of fit for this weapon.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, that could have been a direction to go with.
Yeah.
It originally, I think the wording was each creature.
Yeah,
But
I
it
added
feels-
Yeah,
each
but then
creature.
your whole party is gonna
Exactly.
hate you. So don't unleash
It's gonna be
the.
funny though.
Yeah, even like a 30-foot radius that like affects everybody is hard enough, let alone 120.
Yeah.
Like you have to be fighting by yourself. So we had to change that one up.
A lot safer to just do hostile creatures. But yeah, I've been trying to put that like optional channel divinity like use to use a different feature of an item on things for a little while now.
Yeah.
So happy to find a place for that.
Yeah. That's our contribution for Swordtember, for the start of Swordtember this year.
Yeah, so
Incredible.
The start
Incredible.
of our month.
5 years and going.
Yeah,
Literally
it
the
looks
thing.
I was just saying it looks lovely. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yep. Literally the thing that started our whole deal here.
Homebrew journey. Yeah.
Wow,
And look
to
at
think
us
it was
5 years
5
later.
years.
That's weird to think about. Would anyone like to go next?
Yeah, I can do it. All right, let's see. Well, my process is not that glamorous, not the one with reference in 3D there. It's more simple. So let me. So the one who have to go after this angelic saber, unfortunate, because I also have to say my idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the biblically accurate angel section of the video.
Yeah. I was a bit stressed because wings, I already make a lot of wing team swords, insect wings, like devil's wings, things like that. Actually, I haven't made angelic wing so far, so let's go with that. And yeah, my process, because it's Swordtember, and I always try to make it really one day, one sword. I rarely like save reference. I just basically skim through Pinterest or Google's. But I think first thing that I always do, because I'm not English speaker, is check the meaning of the word and see if there is anything that I can use, like the synonyms, or check the thesaurus if there is any related word that maybe I can combine with the prompt. And I guess from here, this is basically what I'm my line of thinking I arrive at when I'm looking at Paladin, and the subclass is out, so promise. So I try to combine the angelic theme with a promise or out or foe theme, which is this is what I made for the initial sketch. It's too big. So I usually make it in a really large canvas. Quick, simple. I've been since last year. I've been very much obsessed with sword and shield designs. So for the first sword, might as well I want to do that again. So because as I said, the theme is promise, and I kind of suddenly have the image of a pinky finger that I want to what if I just make a sword? The seed is a pinky finger of celestial, consecrated and basically bind and then made into and the flesh is grown into wings and made into this sword. When you want to pull it, you have to say like an oath or a vow that limit yourself in some way, but give you ability in others. So that's the kind of the concept that I'm going with. Yeah, that's the finger. I'm trying to figure out how to make it looks like a finger. Initially, it is like it's not this one. So that's end up becoming like this.
I really like that direction, going with
Yeah.
after doing your research and kind of going down the idea of a promise and then expanding on that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to not the purely angelic things. I kind of want to twist it, kind of make it a bit grotesque. That's why I'm trying. Okay, what about finger? Holding a finger as like a sword sheath is like kind of disgusting also. Like
Yeah.
a large severed finger in your side, and I kind of want to make the wing doesn't look pretty, so it is like mangled and twisted into the blade, into like this blade shape. And when you put it into a sheath, the wing kind of bind the handle so that you cannot pull it out before you make the foam. That's the other sketch. I kind of spin the kind of try to wrap the finger with some like a religious scripture scrolls and like a rope, maybe like a consecrated rope, something like that. And this is the
God, I'm always so impressed with how dynamic your presentation is.
And I say that there's this movement, there's a lot of things twirling often, and it's always so harmonious, and you never do a flat thing, it's always coming at us or something, and yeah, I admire that.
Yeah, I tried before in the early days when I'm making item. It is always like flat, and after trying a bit, like I think I can give it some more flair, some to make it a bit more dynamic and pleasing to see. So starting to use like this perspective view, to make it like you can also like I can show some dimension to the item. And I
love your line art, by the way. Just I love the way you do like shading. It's really lovely.
Yeah, I very much rely on line art, and this line art basically take the most time when I'm drawing. So the painting is done really quick, but the line art usually takes quite a lot.
It
I
shows.
often go too much detailed.
This is
And
why
yeah,
I was like, oh, I need to do the feathers in 3D because I could not bring myself to draw this many feathers. This is incredible.
on the contrary, I tried 3D before. I'm giving up on this. I'm going.
But you didn't, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and then this is the finish. Ta-da!
Oh,
Wow.
Whoa!
very nice.
Oh yes, the color scheme of the inside of the feathers being red and oh,
Kind of
so
want
beautiful.
to make it when you pull it, it's like a little bit bloody and like hard pull, and there's the string of maybe like blood because it is you basically pull the flesh of the finger, and the wing grow from the flesh and then form the blade like that. And you can also see the finger actually a little bit corrupted. There is like feathers and wing growing like a tumor here and there.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. It's so funny. There's like the grotesque fingernail, but somehow the frayed rope feels like the most sinister part.
Those are good, like rope shapes at the end. That's really nice.
Yeah, I always
super
really like.
dynamic.
I love how you always have some, whether it's like effects or rope or something, you always are managing to tie the entire composition together, even when you have like multiple items. They look very harmonious. I always love that about your work.
Thank you. At first, I was gonna make like more like engraving or ornamental like metal on the hilt and the one that the end of the sheet, but when I like working on it and just thinking like, I think I might as well going full grotesque on this. That's why I also like make the scripture a bit like darker, like old, weathered, and well, the red inside of the feather of the wings actually, because I tried to use shading and it doesn't really show the dimension. And then I guess I'll just end up using that so that I can show where is the inside and the outside of the wing.
Yeah, that's a great solution. Just using the color. It's very striking.
And I guess a little bit of the stats. My stats more like a concept rather than an actual proper mechanic. So this is again legendary, of course. And yeah, this some of the mechanic here is something that my pattern also requests because I use it a bit last year, where I basically some of the modifier and DC is based on proficiency, so that you can give it to basically like a little flexibility to give it to different tier level for character.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so the bonus to attack and damage, it's half your proficiency. So that I think tier 4 you get +3, tier 3 like 11 to 15 you get roughly +2. Yeah, that is. I actually make a lot more variation, but running out of for the foe, I running out of space. So I just pick 3 and put it here.
Feel that pain.
Yep. Rule of 3, always good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the concept of basically limiting the character in a way to give them an extremely strong buff.
Yeah, you lose something, you gain something.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, tying in the promise theme, like not just into the design of the weapon, but the actual mechanics is so cool.
Yeah, it's always better to treat it like that, the given and the risk and the reward. I think that the vanilla version of curses and stuff they made for weapons initially, because it inside choices from the players, and it's a game about making choices and role playing, all this stuff, and very so much stuff that I love it. Like the fact that you have the choice of 3 different vows. The vow of mercy, I love the idea. Like the mechanic, I love it. Really, you cannot reduce someone to 0, but you can charm them. So it's so good.
Yeah.
So creative.
Yeah,
It's like it's using the very similar concept to the curses that I like, where it's a limitation that is meant to like balance the
Benefit.
power of it, and it's like it's a very cool, like divine good version of that sort of design space where it's a choice to take it on. So it's the player challenging themselves.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is a
always
very
fun.
cool way of implementing that same design sense, but giving you a choice.
And that really complements the design of the sword itself, right? The celestial positiveness and then the corrupted blood interior.
Yeah.
The sword basically kind of based on like a faction, like a follower of a deity in my setting that they are they call the Knight of Taboo. There's basically like this, they limit themselves and then get a blessing based on what they like vow not to do. I think one of them is like I will not breathe, and then one for a number of time they will not be able to breathe, and they get a massive boost. But if they didn't finish the fight within their limit, constitution limit, they drown and dead.
Wow.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it has
like-
kind of a Hunter x Hunter mechanic. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Yeah.
I love it for that because there is this thing of you apply a rule to yourself that is harsh, but you gain something in return. You make an oath. I don't know why it's not that deep, but yeah.
It is very similar. I kind of inspired by that concept that the more limitation you give to yourself, you get more power from it. It's like basically like a prize, basically. Yeah, that's my sword for this year.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, super
Incredible.
lovely. So, first of all, coming up with prompt lists, I try to do a mixture of sort of like broader concepts, like, I don't know, like the concept of like justice or something like that, more concrete things like wings and stuff, and more adjectives that are like, just sort of fun to play in. So this year, because it was like a best of, I tried to do a really good balance of like people's favorites from previous years. And I'm just dropping this in the chat now. I realized I've already done like a ton of wing designs just casually. They're just very fun to include. And wings had been a theme like once. So I was like, this would probably be like a rich vein for people to design with, because you can do so much with like the shape of a wing. So I have one piece that was like kind of more insect-like, but I hadn't really done too many insect pieces, insect wings, I mean. So I decided this year I was going to go, instead of going for like a feathered wing, I was going to go for a dragonfly wing. And also because for me, like doing Swordtember is like a lot of like, I put in what I want to get out of it. And in this case, I love working traditionally. So I decided to do some ink painting. So I'm just going to start with my pencil sketch here. My process doesn't change very much, but I do draw on watercolor paper and just sort of noodle around until there's enough movement for it to look good. And then I do ink line pass, which I'm dropping in here. I use like a brush pen, so it has a really nice movement to it already. You get a lot of variety in the line weight. And then, so this is my painting pass. And you'll notice it's not my final pass because I wanted to try something stupid, which was doing gold foil, like actual gold foil. I had never done it before. And I did it to sort of mixed success, which I'm dropping down here now. I did the adhesive, but I couldn't really see the adhesive, so I missed some spots. So I had to fill it in with like a gold Blick pen. But yeah, here's the final result. It's a lot more illustrative and character based than technical design based, because at this point I've literally drawn like hundreds of swords, so I really enjoy drawing characters too. So the past couple of years I've tried to make it a little more fun for me in that way, where I'm like adding a bit of a character. But I liked the idea of the dragonfly wing just sort of being sharpened to the degree where it's just like a cool design on a blade, like the sort of wing membrane on the blade. Yeah, that's my contribution.
It's a
The
very
gold
beautiful
foil.
one.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Wow.
It looks
Yeah,
so
I know
good.
you were messing with gold foil for some of your other prints and stuff, but I like how it's, even if it's not like the printed foil, it looks
Mhm.
really nice. Even though I know it's hard to get like and I know it's hard to get scans of like reflective material.
Yeah, it was tough to scan it. You can probably see that I like was going in and like doing a little bit of digital adjustment because some of the parts I was like, no. But yeah, I don't think I'll have time to do Swordtember that much this year, but I also try to do like if I am doing like the whole month challenge, this is like the kind of format I do where it's like really highly repeatable for me.
Mhm.
Where I can time it down to like less than 2 hours to do the entire piece. And that's the only way I can do like month-long challenges. So they're very frequently like not in color, at least on mine.
That's smart. That must be nice to have good time management.
I mean, last year I went really crazy. So in order to actually get everything done last year, I really needed to prepare in advance and like make myself a template, do all of my sketches for the characters in advance. But I was mostly doing things like on the day or the day before. But I had a template already to go to work in. I was
Doing
unemployed at the time.
Yeah, same.
So getting 30 pieces out is an ordeal.
Yeah, amazing
Yeah.
though. And the piece that you just did, I really love. I feel like the composition and like the pose of the character serves the gold foil really well because it's
Oh,
almost
thank
got this
you.
like illuminated manuscript kind of vibe with the character, how it's posed and stuff. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think it's very lovely.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very much an inspiration point for my work. Is
Oh,
illuminated
nice.
manuscripts.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Even
think the
also, like-
wings painting her is really nice as well. I
Pardon?
almost didn't notice the bottom right wing because the
okay.
blade itself is over the top of it, but I thought it was kind of cool for a moment. It's like the other 3 wings and the blade make like a full set as well, like visually.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. I was just sort of I just sort of slot things in where they look the coolest instead of where it like makes the most sense anatomically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense if it's cool. I mean, it's
Yep.
art, so it works. I love your characters. I mean, that's how I started to follow you and fell upon Swordtember afterward. And yeah, I love the detail of the insects motifs pattern on the chest of the
Oh,
character.
thank you.
I love insects. I mean, spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, I really wanted to like integrate the insect stuff a little bit in her outfit. Yeah, outfits, clothes are like also a huge part of what I love doing in work.
Yeah,
Just
even,
designing that kind of thing.
That really
even
comes
seeing-
through.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Even seeing
I
like,
also like the
the little there's the insect of the hilt. There's a
Mhm.
Yeah.
full on like
Oh.
beetle.
But yeah, I wanted it to
Don't
be just get in a little bit more of the insect motif there.
I like that.
I didn't notice the hilt one. I noticed her like chest plate, but I didn't notice the hilt insect.
Yep.
Oh, I
That's so
actually
cute.
didn't notice the chest plate. It's also beetle.
Yeah. There's
It's cool.
it's
High
beetles all
spy.
the way down.
Yeah.
Alright, cool, awesome. Thanks, Faith. And again, of course, thank you for another year of Swordtember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much.
It's always fun.
Yeah. It's always really it's crazy to see some of the work that people like it just blows me away. I know that a few people have told me they used it to build like a prop portfolio, like prop
Mhm.
design.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I did see at one point a recruiter at Nickelodeon like posting on her stories like why are all the people submitting prop portfolios of just swords?
I do want
But yeah, overall it's so cool to see what people do, and I don't always have time to participate, but when I do, like I just have a blast, bonding with people over it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we try to make sure we have time to at least do a few every year.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try to do our best for the ones that we are gonna
I mean,
make this
30 is a lot. It's you have
Yeah.
to be like a certain kind of crazy to do all 30 days. And clearly I'm that kind of crazy. But I'm not that kind of crazy every year.
Yeah.
Especially for
This-
doing 3D. I'm like, I can't expect 30 3D swords from Andrew every.
Low poly PS1 graphics.
Oh, that would
I'd
be
dig
really
that.
That would
cool.
actually be
That'd
really
be
cool.
sick.
Yeah.
I was
Bit of
joking, but
style.
now saying that out loud, that's a sick.
That's a
year of
concept, yeah.
Swordtember, yeah.
Yeah, write that down.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being called by what we just saw. If we go
Oh.
by the rules, the rule of two, with the two angels, we have two wings of insects.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in my case, last year I had a really hard time finishing the contest. So it was a Swordtember, October, December, January. I think I finished it in February or something. Took me a very long time, and so for this year also because it's best of, and I already did most of the prompts. I wanted to find a way for me to have the challenge doable, but also new in a way. So I decided to make 2 prompts for one sword. So for this one, it's gonna be wings and floral.
Ooh.
And so obviously wings and florals, I thought about one of my favorite monster is maybe not the word, but the pixies. So butterflies and stuff. And I started, well, you're gonna say it looked quite on the same way at the beginning as what you did. It was my rough. I usually start like not thinking about the beauty, just throwing shapes so that I can think with it, think with my hand, I like to say, rather than brain and then trying to use my hand to translate it. I didn't really like what it gave, but I wanted this thing of having 2 wings that they have, and the butterflies and pixies always have this little tail to their bottom wings. I don't know if I'm clear in what I'm saying. That extends. We often put that, so I thought, oh, that could be a nice handle, and so I started working around that, and started to get to a shape I liked a bit more, and from that I started to make something that would be a bit more wieldy and weapony, right? This kind of shape. I wanted it to be a dual weapon that when you put them next to each other, you can guess the shape of a butterfly. And so
That's
I
clever.
arrived,
Yeah,
I love
it-
that.
to this one in the
yeah,
end.
it's really cool to see like the progression of the shapes too, like going from the more illustrative to like the more like practical.
Yeah. God, those are beautiful.
Ooh, the more
Yeah,
different-
those
Mhm,
patterns are
very
lovely.
pretty.
And then I realized, okay, I've done the wing part, but I thought it would be floral, more floral in itself because of the aspect of leaves and petals that it can have. But I also, for the mechanic, we will talk about it later. But I came to add a little bit of flower. I was watching something at the time, and there was these tropical flowers with the pistil going out. So I was like, I'm gonna play with that. So I made the handle more organic, more like branch that come out of the wing and turn into something kinda wieldable, and some of the motifs transforming into a basket hilt a bit on the bottom blade. And yeah, I think I can then show the colors. At first I wanted to follow the colors of the pixies from the book, but it was too, I'm more into bright colors, almost cartoony, so finally it became rainbow.
Wow.
Ooh,
Very nice.
oh, that's so
I
pretty.
like the gradation there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like how the pattern on the wings, like when it's close to the flowers, it starts reading like petals, like it's expanding out.
Yeah.
They share the
That's
same design, like visual.
And so called it Pixies War Wings.
Nice.
And we can go to the mechanics. And I write too much, and I love random tables because who says Pixie says random. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's the first thing I wanted to do with the twin wings part was like I wanted for this weapon to be easy to have, and when you have a double magic item, it's always clunky. So I made it like it's one weapon, but you can, whenever you want, you can summon a double of this weapon. So you have two, but you don't have to be worried to have the weapons separated or anything. So you can duplicate it at will. Not at will, because if you drop it, it disappears and stuff. So you can't have someone saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have 10 scimitars and sell them. Ha ha ha! I'm so smart." We know the players and what they do. They're evil. You have to think like that when you create an item. How will my players be evil with it, and how will they torture me? And yeah, so I did that. And like previous sword, it provides a flight speed equal to your walking speed for 1 minute. I didn't want it, it's only very rare, so I didn't want it to be a permanent fly speed, something that you can have all the time, because that's quite powerful. But you can have it fairly regularly. And then came the pixie pollen, which is both the flower part but also the fairy dust that Peter Pan introduced, and that is a staple of this kind of characters. So the idea was like, you have to attack with both weapons, because I wanted it to be like if you flapped your wings, both wings, on an enemy to create this cloud of pollen. And well, then you have the random table of effects, which I can let you discover.
I really like how organically all the mechanics fold into one another. I really appreciate, like, the wings. Like, of course, you have to be holding both swords to be able to fly. You can't fly with just one wing. And then the pixie pollen like folds right into the like butterfly aspect of it, but it also incorporates the floral theme. I think it's really well designed and really well thought out.
Thank you.
And the effects are also very appropriate, like pixie themed. I like that.
Getting the pixie and the floral theme in there very, very nicely. I like that. The difficult terrain one is very fun.
Yeah, it's this one. I think it's the biggest one in terms of text, because since you fly, you are not affected by it, and so it's really like, here, have this cursed gift. get restrained. I'm flying out.
Yeah.
I appreciate any kind of like visual design where I can see the player holding it very easily. You know, like that's like from a visual standpoint, I just love how like that looks so comfortable to hold. And it also, like, I can imagine it like sheathed on someone's back, and like how it changes the silhouette of the player. And I think just from a visual standpoint, it's a cool design.
Yeah, these would be really cool if instead of the sides, if a player had them on their back, like crossed over, and then it's literally like they have them as wings while they're on their back, and then they pull them out to fly.
I really love the shape of the guard.
Yeah.
It is the curve, and then there is the blade, like two blades separated there. It can really shape the shape of the butterfly, even just with one sword.
But even like in three-dimensional space, that the petals coming over the guard would make like the sort of cup guard that's on a lot of swords, where it's protecting your hand. Very cool.
I like that you brought up the point about like how a lot of butterfly wings have the little like tail at the bottom. I really like how that got incorporated into like a third blade. It's like every inch of it will cut somebody.
Yeah, I love to do cute things that are deadly.
Yep. Love that.
Yeah, pixies are perfect for that for sure.
Exactly. But like, I'm 1 HP, but I can wreck your world.
It was very organic. Nice. I love seeing everybody's process. I like how it started and how you see like the step-by-step thought process.
Yeah, the sketches are very cool to see.
Yeah.
Those are good sketches.
Yeah.
You can see like there's so much intentionality that's coming through.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not. There is intention, but there's also a lot of taming the chaos. Like, okay, I want to go somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm gonna find out while I'm trying to go there. I don't know how to explain. It's a lot of people that don't draw. I don't know if you have the same experience, but when they talk to you about how they would like to draw, their imagination of the process has nothing to do with how I do it. They imagine it like very controlled. When it's not at all. It's more like taming than directing. But that's the fun part of it too, to me at least.
Yeah.
I think I feel the same way.
Yep.
So I totally understand.
Yeah, I feel that way, especially when I do traditional media, because I love it, but there's sort of a degree of lack of control.
Yeah.
Extra, where when a happy accident happens, you have to call it a happy accident, or else it's a mistake.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, that's so nice that happened. I wanted there to be a big blotch there, and now she has little black sleeves on. That's what happened with my own design.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's really amazing because the black sleeves were really a part of the design of the clothes. I was like, oh my god, I love that. I have to do something like that one day. And knowing it's a happy mistake is even better.
Yeah, well, what happened was I just put some ink over top of where I had put the gold foil just like to close out an edge, but the ink had just sort of reloaded and it was a little too full. So I looked back at it and I was like, oh, that's a big splotch. So I just decided that she had sleeves and I shaped it in a way that would make nice little half sleeves and added it to the other side. And yeah, I mean, genuinely a happy accident, but also, you know, that lack of control is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. I feel that way, especially because I like doing a lot of like ink and line work, and it's always a challenge of wanting to not. Because if you're too controlled, then that's when it looks so stiff. Everything looks kind of dead. Kind of find that middle ground between that and giving yourself enough freedom, but reining it in, like you were saying, Luca. Nice. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so my process is probably, I think, probably different from most artists. I never trained as an artist, so a lot of my explorations tend to just be, like you said, accident. So the first step for me is to try a bunch of different sketches and see where I'm gonna go with it. I've always been pretty interested in how there were basically 3 types of animal wings. And you sort of see that everywhere. You have the birds, right? The angel wings, the bat wings, and the devils. And then the insect wings. And while I was figuring this out, I was also in the middle of a futuristic theme for my items. So I realized there was a modern plane wing, like a jet fighter.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really stuck to that because I thought the insect wing would be really cool and it would look really pretty and be iridescent. But I was also equally inspired by the jet fighting. So I decided I would see what's gonna happen with it.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
See, I looked up a couple of references. I think the first thing that came to my head was the bomber. I wanted that sort of interesting stepped silhouette, and the Guardians of the Galaxy ship with all of its including wings and fins. And then after that, it was just developing the wing. I don't know. It's hard to explain what the process is because I don't have a large extent of design experience or a sort of visualization that people can sort of do. That's why in my process, I tend to do a lot of guidelines. I don't think I have a sketch of it. But when I do my time lapse, as you can see, I basically do a lot of perspective. I trained as an architect, so I do a lot of perspective lines and I just go from there.
Oh, that makes so much sense now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really does those as extensively as I do them. So I ended up I added a propeller, because without the propeller, it would have been very unclear what the wing itself was. But given the prevalence of drones, I think that would have made it very, very clear that it's a wing. I made sure there was a separation between the upper and bottom wings, so they could read as 2 pairs of elements, like 1 pair of elements, and it would be more accurate to the theme of wings with the plural. The thrusters were inspired by the X-wings. The new X-wings have these like half-circle thrusters attached to them, and then add the pointy elements, secondary fins, and that's basically that. I added color. Oh, the lines are there.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, the blue and the orange is so nice.
Yeah. Orange and teal is always. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the color choices. I feel like if it had stayed more gray, then it would have not popped as much.
Also, my Star Wars senses were tingling. I love that.
I love the X-wings so much.
God, I think I felt a million of souls being very happy about this design.
And then once I got everything in there, it's a matter of making it look fluid. I guess it's a backwards approach where instead of drawing all the fluid motion and what's the word for posing things? Composition? Yes.
Composition.
Yeah, I went backwards with it. So ended up being more about adding the air elements to make it look like it's moving in motion and add a bit more interest around it.
Yeah, the effects are incredible.
Yeah, I can almost see
Yeah.
like the sonic boom effect you're trying to get
Yeah.
across.
Yeah, that's where I was pulling from. The fun thing about doing transparent images is that everything needs to be a normal layer, so it has no blending weirdness. All the native blending into whatever background you put it onto has to be just based on the transparency and the visibility of the layer itself.
Yeah.
For example, if you add like a hard light glow around your lights, it'll look different when you export it and place it on a different image.
I've had to deal with that with transparency.
Yeah, it's a big compromise. It all comes down to just shifting your transparencies until it looks okay.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so cool.
this is the final blade.
I don't know if it's gonna come up in like the rules or mechanics, but I'm like praying that the wings just unfurl and you can fly atop of it.
You would be right.
There it is.
Yes.
Yes.
So one of the not fun challenges, but as writers, we tend to over time add a lot of mechanics, and eventually becomes really long weapons because you used so many of your simple ideas. You have to get a bit more complex with them. I wanted to try and undo that and make it as simple as I could. So this is
That's
just
crazy.
2 modes.
Never had to deal with that before.
I felt absolutely called out.
Yeah, it's basically an attack form. You deal regular damage dice, and you can use a bonus action to deal a bunch of extra damage. Bonus actions are really valuable at this stage, so 2d6 seemed okay at this point.
Yeah.
And then in wing form, it's all about mobility, so you can fly around. And because it's going to open up as a glider, I decided you could also throw it, and it would probably work.
I'm thinking of like the combo moves of like switching between blade form from turn to turn, and just like in the Star Wars mood and how it has the ring around the hilt. I'm just thinking of the Inquisitor lightsabers.
Yes.
Having it spin, like have both of them, the thrusters going opposite directions, and it just
Yes, I wanted to make sure it wasn't really silly because lightsabers don't generate lift, but these ones.
This makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's also a Green Goblin ID in my mind when I imagine the wing form. You know, like.
Oh, there it is.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Green Goblin glider for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because like in role playing games, the turns are like 6 seconds long or something.
Yes.
And so like as somebody who like works in animation for a living, I'm like, oh man, like I can imagine switching between like, blade mode, choo, and then you like switch it and you throw it and it's really sick and it comes back into your hand and it like sizzles or something. But like that would have to take place over like multiple turns. And I just think that's just like really funny, like how it gets broken up like that.
Yeah. I think when you add it to like the fighters' 4 attacks and they're hasted or whatever, that's like 20 attacks in 1 turn in 6 seconds. It's always a fun thing to think about.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 6 seconds was how long vines were, and some of those seem to like warp time. There's no
It's
way
true,
that some
yeah.
of those were 6 seconds long.
Fighters are Quicksilver at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just turns into like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you hit a really good like middle point of like I could see this both in like a futuristic setting, like kind of modern like fighter jets feel appropriate, but it something about its design feels like it could still fit into somewhat of a fantasy world. Like I could imagine like someone comes up with this and it's just powered by magical energy. It doesn't go so far into like not cyberpunk but futuristic tech realm that I couldn't believe it imagining in like base D&D.
Oh.
You give it a little bit of a different like paint job, and it would fit in like Arcane pretty easily.
I was gonna say,
Mhm.
like,
Oh, for
just
sure.
turn it all into bronze, add
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
cogs somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in
Yeah,
space
and
everywhere.
it's
Change the
steampunk.
light to green and then steampunk.
Honestly,
You just power it with gems and it works.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
just chock
Oh,
full of
when-
gems.
when in doubt, magic gems.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel like you can imagine, like with this sword, you can imagine the larger world design of like a
Mhm.
sci-fi but fantasy setting, just based on like the shapes and the choices and the colors in this one design, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to see an older design?
Yeah.
So I actually did this twice. This is my first Swordtember, so I was really nervous. So I did a different one before this one, and I scrapped it later.
Ooh.
Oh,
So-
I liked it too.
So you can see where some of the failures were. The colors were not as expressive.
Mm.
The half circle hilt was not as visually interesting, and it doesn't really explain what it does. Just looking at it.
Hmm.
So, and then the thrusters themselves are very basic.
Yeah, I think.
I
the
think
shadiness
adding stuff like
definitely
the
helps.
propellers helps a lot
Yeah.
into what you're saying. Yeah,
They
like
make
you're
good
saying, I can
changes.
tell how it works now.
Also thinking about the scale of this one with like the trigger, that's a one-arm thing. Those are-
Yeah.
like the scale of the wings versus the person.
At some point, I was thinking, yeah, magic will take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do that at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, your old version looks very like Star Wars-y, like old tech, and it looks a little like it would. But then the newer version you worked with, even though it's like so much more sleek and elegant, I feel like it fits in a lot of universes.
Really got that stealth bomber sort of feel with both the kind of like organic curve of the wing, but the like very geometric end to it.
Really good.
I'm glad you saw that. I don't think I would have noticed.
I also appreciate the mechanics that you went with. Like you were saying, I definitely feel the like it's hard to come up with really simple mechanics, especially the longer you go. Because like you said, like, oh, you've done that before, this has been done before, so you need to go more and more complicated.
Yeah.
But this is so simple and clean. It's like, yeah, when it's a sword, it hits harder. And then when it's a wing, it can fly and come back to you. And it's like that's like all it needs.
Very elegant.
Yeah, and I mean it does what an item needs to do in a very good way. It feels a fantasy. You know, it's a fantasy we have as a player. You think of a character when you see this sword. You're like, oh my god, I could create a character around it, and that's amazing. And for the 2d6 as a bonus action, I wanted to say earlier, rogues can take bonus action to hide, and it provides them with 5d6 at some point, 7d6 in itself. So it's not that broken, because as a bonus action, it can only apply to one strike, even if you have many. So I find it very balanced.
Yeah.
Actually,
definitely.
depending on what level you give it, obviously.
All right.
All right. Maeve, would you like to show what you got? Very much looking forward to it.
Sure. Okay, so I tip the scales in favor of wing, angelic wing
Oh.
category.
Ah.
So basically, so for my job, I always have to do something that's very structured, and it always has to serve a very clear mechanical purpose. So when I go into Swordtember, I kind of just follow the thing that I want to do first. I don't really, I try not to like think too deeply into it, because I feel like that's how I burn out on Swordtember, which I do every month anyway. But so for this, I just lay down just some quick symmetrical sketches and see which one that I like the most. But I'm more of like a color and materials kind of painter, so usually when I start sketching, even beforehand, I'll put down the colors that I kind of want to work with, which I know is a little backwards, but it's just how I like to work. And then next I do like a tiny thumbnail. I choose the one that I want, and I do a little dinky thumbnail of like the overall shape that I want to do, and kind of start thinking about what are the smaller shapes that I want to incorporate, and what are like the smaller themes that I want to incorporate. So for this, I was obviously thinking about the biblically accurate angel, and I was also kind of looking into like, how would a wing attach to a biblically accurate angel, and thinking about like relics and ossuaries. the bone
Yes.
graves, bone stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So then I kind of do draw the rest of the owl step. Yeah. And
Wow.
and then I just render the rest of it. I have a very terrible process where I kind of just I go into it and there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. But yeah, I wanted to do like the very small details of like knuckles and spines and things like that. But I wanted that to be not a big read for it. The other thing I was thinking about was that, yes, this is a sword, but I also really like the theme of angels with spears. So I wanted it to be like a spear-like sword as much as possible. And yeah, that's kind of it. I did not do a stat block. I don't know how to make them. I did ask my DM if he could help me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let's set up a call next week, and we'll sit down for 2 hours, and I'll teach you how to do it." And so it came a little late, but I was thinking about themes of like penance, very religious kind of vibe. So making the actual handle a spiky spine hurts you when you use it, kind of vibes.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
it.
didn't see that. Oh yes, so you when you take the sword, you hurt yourself. Oh, that.
Mhm.
I can imagine the blood like pouring down from the
Yes.
handle to the wings.
Yes.
God, I love
Oh,
that.
looking at this, it's really hard to imagine that you weren't really thinking too much about it because everything looks really well placed. Like, were you
Yes.
inspired by some sort of architecture or some design?
I punched in those, like, I don't know what they're called, the 3 holes towards the
Yeah, the
end because I was like,
church-like.
yeah, kind of reliquary church arches stuff, and then I put the cross at the top. That was very much an afterthought, though. I'm kind of the same as you, where like visualizing things in my mind is very hard to do, so it kind of just comes out as I'm working. But yeah,
Came together incredibly. God, I love
Yeah.
like all the little gilded bones in the hilts.
thank you.
It's so nice.
Yeah, I love that too because you can imagine them animating and moving with a like a clickety sound.
Ooh.
And yeah,
I
I
didn't
love
even
that.
think of that. Yeah.
It has some nice sounds to it between the clicky clacks and like an audible blink. I feel.
Oh, like a big, gross, like wet blink. Yeah.
Yeah, and the groans of pain of the person wielding it.
Yes.
Like every time you hit something, it just
I love that the colors of the wings are like tinted blue. They really contrast with the yellow. And there's like the red eye, sort of doing that tricolor thing people like to do.
Yeah. I like evil eye stuff and things like that. But yeah, like I said, when I think about things, I'm usually thinking about them from a color perspective in the beginning. So it's always like, oh, the white and the gold isn't going to look super great because I can't like render, like I can't do 3D stuff. So like being able to do like a very convincing white wing like you did, I think might be a little bit beyond my ability. So it's like, okay, lean on the blue purple tint to pump up the idea of color contrast to make it at least look pleasing if it's not completely anatomically accurate.
I really like the layers you have with you really utilize the purple to like segment the sword from top to bottom really elegantly. I love like top little tinges of white, and then it gets more bunched towards the center, all pointing towards the eye, and then it just like descends back into solid gold. It's like a really nice flow along the whole side of the weapon.
Thank you.
And you saying like, oh, I can't accurately get that like stark white in there because you're not doing 3D, and I'm here going like, is it too late for me to put,
No, yours looks good. Yours looks good. It looks
Thank
good.
No, it's funny. You kept saying stuff like, I'm doing it backward. I cannot do that," and the result is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
My soft goal for next year is to be able to tilt them at 3/4 or something.
Oh, God.
Do something that would be.
I think I did it for 1 or 2 sword, and after that I was like, yeah, I did it. That's it. Yeah.
At what cost?
Exactly.
This is
exactly.
The main reason why I work in 3D is just so that I can like angle something with the camera. Rotate.
Yeah.
That's why Sinlaire's is a beast. his finger angel sword. That's
God.
insane to me.
Like to do that even with just line work is
Yeah,
so hard.
he's so hard.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Thank
I really
you.
like the blade though. This is like you're wielding the spire of a church of cathedral.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's really remind me of that, and it's like really cool using that as a blade.
Yeah, thanks.
You hold
Yeah.
it up and it's like a religious monument.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah, we
really
were-
looking like a religious monument.
Yeah.
We were joking earlier about how Andrew and I always default to like religious, like pseudo-Christian cults.
Yeah.
or like very like harsh training and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, you beat us to the punch on that one with the this literally hurts the whole, but that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
But,
That's
I
what
mean,
happened
it's the aesthetics that you can't deny. Like, however you feel about the religious stuff, they've got the aesthetics down.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Whenever I see like crazy Catholic reliquaries, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is like the like ring finger of a priest that died in the 1400s, and we've got it in this like golden coffin
It's
engaged
metal
with
as fuck.
rubies." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's the coolest thing I've ever seen." In my life.
Yeah, it's
The-
always-
Like, I don't support any of this, but that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
yeah.
The bedazzled skulls are.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah.
to say. I love those. Or the ones where it's just like the blank face, but they'll have like the jaw of a saint or something.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just like the
Yeah.
floating jaw and this gilded cage, and it's so good.
Yeah, I had a sword. I think it was last year or the one before. I had a sword that was bad. It had this glass cylinder in the middle of the handle with a finger, a gray finger in it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
So
Love
good.
the finger reliquaries.
I really like that the bottom looks like a church steeple. I think whichever way you look at it, up
Yeah.
or down.
yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
actually,
Mhm.
it
I can
works
see
both
where
ways.
you were going, Ari, with whether
yeah,
like
totally.
architecture was
Yeah,
referenced.
that's why I
or-
was like,
And
yep.
when you flip it, it also looks like
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that before I punched in those 3 little holes, it actually didn't feel that way at all, and then I just kind of added it in there, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's like where the mirror, it's where the stained glass would go in the building.
we
It's-
could say angel is in the detail.
I was going to say, everybody here is aware of Blasphemous, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Ah,
Okay.
I love that game.
Design is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Beautiful.
gorgeous
Yeah,
design.
this is so sick.
Wait, I just
Oh,
noticed
so-
the transparent feather wing that's like falling down in the front there, like the pearlescent lighting.
Yeah, I wanted like a gradient, you know. So
Right.
I guess the other thing too is when you're carving out the swords and stuff, especially if you're doing it from the front, making sure to establish a rhythm flowing down is always really important to me. I don't think it's like a rule that you have to do or whatever, but it's something that's like satisfying to my brain. I wanted another curve there to help flow it down towards the point, but if I had made it that's the more opaque on the top, the contrast would just bring the viewer's eye right there to the dead center of the sword, which is not what I wanted. So
Yeah, no, what you're saying about the rhythm definitely translates. You know, with like the spots of white. I can see like even the transparent one on top. It leads your eye from top right to the left, back to the right, back to the left, and then finally back down right with the one that you place right at the bottom. I'm sure it's like just instinct that you had of like there needs to be something here, and then figuring out like, well, it can't be opaque. It has to be lighter, otherwise it'll centralize everything. That's really good. Like it's like you're thinking of the whole item as a composition.
for sure.
And it tells a story, so like you can imagine the story behind it, and so mechanics in my head it's suggested because it blends in with the whole angelic but also creepy and painful, like, and this falling spectral wings have this fallen angel, it's not yet a fallen angel, but it's falling.
Oh,
it is,
that's interesting.
It is
yeah.
losing something, or it is shedding something. I don't know. It gives me that vibe when I watch it.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And then eventually it loses all its wings and it's just that gross gold skeletal
Oh, that would
thing.
be.
at
Oh,
the end.
Oh,
yes.
sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's, oh god, it'll just have the like spidery
Yeah.
Bones.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's actually
So
really
cool.
cool.
Oh no.
I think fallen angels are probably more interesting than regular angels.
honestly, if I hadn't done a like I did like a pair of fists for one of our items that was like
My
one
God.
devilish, one angelic, and if we hadn't done that, I probably would have done more of like that combined angel and devil wings that we saw in one of your sketches there, Ari. Like, I always like that duality sort of thing of like I know that technically the term Nephilim isn't necessarily half angel, half demon. It's more like half angel, half human. But I love using it in that like sense where there's like something that's in the middle is very appealing, or in the middle of falling.
The process.
Yes.
Now I would love to see like a bare bones version of the bare bones form, when it's just an eye, like creepy wings, or creepy like
Yeah.
golden bones and stuff like that.
I want it to be sentient, so it starts like walking around
Ugh.
flat, but it's on
Oh.
its little bone
Yeah.
like limbs, and it
Mm.
looks kind of like a face hugger with like a really long tail, just like
Oh no.
Yeah.
trying to find its next victim.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just evocated my phobia.
Yeah.
Yeah, recontextualizing it as like an insect crawling on the ground really changes the vibe.
Just what
Well-
Romulus this gives me.
Maybe,
Totally
Sorry.
different flavor. That's so sick.
maybe that's how angels are made in this world.
Mm.
Maybe
Oh.
they hug your face and
Oh,
then
God,
put
yeah.
an angel
Oh, no.
egg in you.
Oh God, that
Angelic
is sick.
alien,
Oh
yes.
yeah, that's amazing. That's such a good
Actually, they are
idea.
alien. Oh, extraplanar.
Yeah. Oh
Well,
God.
Biblically accurate angels are just Lovecraft angel. I mean,
Yeah.
all these
Yes.
eyes and stuff. It's very. But yeah.
Eldritch.
You look at them and you go crazy. Yeah, that sounds like Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how the three of us came up with, decided to go with the angel theme, but it's all very different.
Yeah.
Feels.
Yeah.
It's always a
Like-
good feeling.
Like we leaned really hard into just the like, like looking like aspect of the design with the crazy large wings, almost flanking the sword. Maeve's yours is like really different and much more structured with that really nice like long blade and carved at the bottom. And then Sinlaire, you went for like a really different theme with the finger sheath and all that.
So good.
Yeah.
So much
God,
variety
it's
across the
so
board.
much. Yeah, so much puns. Not puns, but yeah, play with the words. Pinky promise. All
Yeah.
that. So smart.
Looks like
Okay.
a weapon you'd have in Elden Ring or something.
Yes.
Like you'd find
Yeah,
yes.
Very
hanging
much.
fingers.
I just finished Elden Ring
Yeah.
before making that.
Lots of finger stuff in Elden Ring.
Yeah, they
I
really
shouldn't
like
say-
their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say finger stuff. Actually, that was bad.
Yeah, both Luca and Ari as well. Just I never would have gone the like jet fighter direction.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my
that
It's like
was
it's
so
totally
cool.
outside of what I would have ever conceived of. I would have gone much more like, if not angel, yeah, like devil wing or like birds. I like that you really went outside the box with that concept.
Yeah.
I'm just scrolling through all everyone's posts. I love seeing the process.
God, the colors on the pixie war wings.
Yeah, still,
So beautiful. I gotta do more colorful stuff.
we'll work at that together.
Wow. This has been incredible, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Really happy to see everyone's stuff. Everyone just absolutely killed it, just across the board.
Thank you
All
for
right.
See ya.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Everyone
Bye.
is so amazing.